The year is 1623. You open your eyes and immediately regret it. You're no longer on your soft, overpriced mattress, nestled between memory foam and the warm glow of a phone screen. No, you're lying on something firm. Too firm. Possibly woven. Almost definitely a mat. The room smells faintly of wood smoke, rice vinegar, and something else. Something historical. You blink slowly. Wooden beams above you. Shoji doors. A sliding panel that doesn't seem to slide. Congratulations. You've been magically transported to feudal Japan, a land of samurai, honor, silence, and a truly overwhelming number of rules. Now, the good news is you're not in a battlefield. The bad news is you're still not going to survive this day. Not because of ninjas or angry daimyos, but because, well, you're just not built for this. You're soft. You moisturize. You think tofu is a trendy food, not a survival staple. So let's find out, hour by hour, exactly why you wouldn't last a single day in feudal Japan. A rooster crows somewhere in the distance. Not a gentle, pastoral crow, but a sharp, almost accusatory sound that slices through the pre-dawn quiet. Nature is awake. The village stirs. You, however, are deeply confused. Your body, accustomed to the luxurious embrace of a modern mattress, protests every fiber of the unfamiliar surface beneath you. It's a tatami mat, woven from rush grass, firm and unyielding, a stark contrast to the cloud-like comfort you usually inhabit. The faint, earthy scent of the tatami mixes with the wood smoke from a distant hearth, the tang of rice vinegar, and something else entirely. Something ancient, a smell of damp earth and old wood, of human effort and quiet living. It's a smell that whispers history, and it's subtly overwhelming. You're covered in a simple, thin cotton sheet, rough against your skin. Your pillow? It's not a pillow. It's a wooden block, smooth but hard, curved slightly for neck support, but mostly just a testament to discomfort. You've probably been sleeping with your neck at an unnatural angle, and a dull ache has already begun to throb at the base of your skull. This is not the gentle awakening you're used to. There's no snooze button, no soft alarm, just the insistent clamor of the rooster and the growing awareness of your own profound displacement. You blink slowly, trying to orient yourself. Wooden beams stretch across the ceiling, dark and aged, hinting at centuries of silent witness. The walls are shoji doors, translucent paper panels that filter the weak morning light into a soft, diffused glow. One panel, you notice, seems to be stuck. You try to slide it, but it resists, stubbornly remaining a wall rather than a doorway. Congratulations. You've been magically transported to feudal Japan, a land of samurai, honor, silence, and a truly overwhelming number of rules. And you've barely been awake for 60 seconds. You sit up, perhaps a little too abruptly, your limbs stiff from the unfamiliar sleeping arrangement. As you shift, your elbow catches something ceramic. There's a soft clunk and then a louder splash as a ceramic water jug, likely placed for morning ablutions, tumbles over. Water spreads quickly across the tatami, a dark, damp stain blooming on the pale rush. The sound, amplified by the quiet room, echoes. It feels like a cannon going off in a library. Almost immediately, as if summoned by your clumsy transgression, a servant enters. He moves with a quiet grace that is almost unnerving. He's dressed in simple, dark clothing, his movements economical and deliberate. He doesn't look at the spilled water or at you with any hint of judgment. He simply glides to a stop and bows. Slowly, deeply, his head dips, his back straight, his hands tucked neatly. Naturally, you panic. Your first instinct, born of a lifetime of casual greetings, is to wave. A big, friendly, slightly frantic wave, perhaps accompanied by a mumbled, "Oh, hey there." Mistake number 1, and 2, and 3, and probably 4. In feudal Japan, waving is not a greeting. Waving is, well, it's a strange, almost aggressive gesture. It might imply you're shooing away a bothersome insect, or perhaps trying to flag down a non-existent taxi. Worse, it could be interpreted as a challenge, a dismissive gesture, or even a sign of madness. It certainly doesn't convey polite acknowledgement. Your hand, suspended awkwardly in the air, feels ridiculously large and out of place. The correct response, you dimly recall from some long-forgotten documentary, is to bow. Slowly, deliberately, not too deep, unless you're talking to someone of higher status. Which you are. Everyone is of higher status. Even the rooster, who now seems to crow with an added note of superiority. So you attempt to bow. Your first attempt is too quick, a jerky nod that looks more like you're trying to dislodge something from your neck. Then, overcompensating, you bow too deeply, almost touching your forehead to the tatami, which might be appropriate for groveling before an emperor, but not for a morning greeting to a household servant. You straighten up, then immediately feel you haven't bowed deeply enough, so you dip again, a shallow, uncertain bob. It's like a yoga pose designed to offend every social rank simultaneously, a chaotic dance of cultural ineptitude. You're a human bobblehead, malfunctioning. The servant, a true professional, maintains his placid expression. His eyes, however, seem to hold a faint, almost imperceptible flicker of bewilderment. He says nothing, not a word. His silence is more profound than any scolding. It's the silence of someone who has witnessed a profound cultural gaffe and has decided, with admirable restraint, to simply pretend it didn't happen. He just places a wooden bucket of cold water in front of you, along with a small, folded piece of rough linen, a rudimentary cloth, certainly not a soft, fluffy towel. He gestures to your face with a subtle tilt of his head, indicating the purpose of the water. It's time to wash. With no soap, no scented body wash, no exfoliating scrub, no fluffy towel, no warm, comforting embrace of terry cloth, no mirror, no chance to assess the damage, the leaf in your hair, the sleep creases on your face, and absolutely no dignity. Just the cold reality of a wooden bucket and the silent judgment of a very polite servant. You shiver, already anticipating the icy shock. You eye the wooden bucket of water with a mixture of trepidation and resignation. It's unmistakably cold. The air in the room, while not freezing, is certainly not the climate-controlled warmth of your usual bathroom. You dip your hands into the water, and the chill immediately makes your fingers prickle. You cup a small amount and splash your face, a vigorous, almost theatrical motion, like it's a Nivea commercial from the 1990s, complete with dramatic water droplets flying everywhere. Another mistake. A subtle one, perhaps, but a mistake nonetheless. Bathing in feudal Japan, especially the morning ablution, is a ritual. It involves order, silence, and tremendous restraint. It's not just about getting clean. It's about purification, about preparing oneself mentally and spiritually for the day. You are meant to pour, not splash. The water, ideally, would have been warmed beforehand, perhaps with hot stones or a small fire, but certainly not used directly from a cold bucket with such careless abandon. You're meant to be calm, focused, respectful of the water itself. Instead, you're shivering, your teeth chattering faintly, and you're wiping your face on your sleeve like a confused, time-traveling raccoon who's just had a very rude awakening. The rough cotton of your co-sewed sleeve does little to absorb the water, leaving a damp, uncomfortable patch. You try to rub your eyes, but the cold water has made them sting. You feel less refreshed and more like you've just lost a fight with a garden hose. The servant, again, says nothing. His expression remains unreadable, a masterclass in polite neutrality. But internally, You can almost feel him placing bets on whether you'll make it past breakfast. He probably has a mental tally board. Waving, 1 point. Splashing, 1 point. Sleeve wiping, 1 point. You're racking up points at an alarming rate. You try to dry your hands on the small linen cloth he provided, but it's barely absorbent, more like a decorative napkin than a functional towel. You sigh, a small, frustrated puff of air that feels entirely too loud in the quiet room. The concept of a fluffy, absorbent towel feels like a distant, impossible dream. Your clothes have been laid out for you with meticulous care, folded neatly on a low wooden stand. They look simple at first glance. Elegant, even. But they are not simple. They are a complex puzzle of fabric, folds, and hidden meanings. In front of you, a kosode, a kind of robe, the basic undergarment. A hakama, wide, pleated trousers that look suspiciously like a skirt. An obi, a sash, long and surprisingly stiff, and something that resembles either a hand towel, a very small scarf, or a flag of surrender. You later learn it's a fundoshi, a traditional loincloth, which you wisely decide to ignore for now, hoping your modern underwear will suffice. Now, dressing as a samurai, which you are not, but the locals, seeing your general foreignness and the fact you're in a traditional house, might assume you're at least trying to be, is a multi-step process involving layering, folding, tucking, and tying knots you can't Google. It's less about putting on clothes and more about performing a complex origami ritual on your own body. Every fold, every tie, every layer has a purpose, a tradition, a subtle message. You pick up the kosode. It looks like a simple T-shaped robe. You slip your arms into the sleeves. So far, so good. Then you realize the opening is at the back. You've put the kosode on backwards. The collar, meant to frame your neck, is now awkwardly bunched up behind your head. You fumble, trying to twist it around, but the fabric resists, tangling around your limbs. You finally manage to pull it off and put it on the correct way, but not before a faint blush creeps up your neck. You're already sweating from the effort. Next, the hakama. These wide, pleated trousers are a mystery. Do they go over the kosode? Under it? How do they stay up? You attempt to step into them, but the sheer volume of fabric is disorienting. You try to tie them, but the long ties seem to have a mind of their own, slipping through your fingers. You end up with a lopsided, baggy mess around your waist. You then attempt to tuck the hakama into your socks, a desperate, misguided attempt to make them look less like a skirt and more like, well, something you understand. The fabric bunches uncomfortably around your ankles. The obi, the sash, is the final boss. It's long, stiff, and requires multiple wraps and a specific knot, usually tied at the back. You try to wrap it around your waist, but it keeps slipping. You attempt to tie it in the front, like a bathrobe, but it just looks wrong. You try a double knot, a granny knot, anything that will hold. It ends up resembling a badly wrapped gift, lumpy and askew, tied in the wrong place, probably too high or too low. It certainly doesn't project the image of a disciplined warrior. By the time you're done, you look less like a samurai and more like a wrinkled lantern that's been left out in the rain. Your kosode is slightly askew. Your hakama is a crumpled mess, and your obi looks like a confused snake trying to escape. You feel constricted, uncomfortable, and profoundly aware of every misaligned fold. Your movements are stiff, your posture awkward, but at least you're clothed. You take a deep, slightly restricted breath. You step outside, feeling like a walking, breathing cultural faux pas, into a world where you're about to make many, many more mistakes. And you haven't even had coffee yet. You are led to a low table, or rather, a raised platform, in a quiet room overlooking a small, meticulously raked garden. There is no chair. There will be no chair. Ever again. You are meant to sit cross-legged on the floor, a position that immediately sends a dull ache through your hips and knees, accustomed as they are to ergonomic office chairs and plush sofas. You shift uncomfortably, trying to find a position that doesn't feel like a mild form of torture. Before you, a small, symmetrical meal, presented with an almost artistic precision. A perfectly rounded bowl of steamed white rice, glistening and fragrant. A small, delicate cup of miso soup, steaming gently. A few slivers of pickled radish, daikon, a vibrant splash of pale yellow against the dark lacquer of the tray. And a delicate piece of grilled fish, perhaps a small mackerel or a sardine, its skin slightly charred, its flesh flaky. It looks healthy. It looks small. Your stomach, used to a hearty breakfast of cereal, toast, or perhaps a full English fry-up, growls in protest. You pick up the chopsticks. Confidently. Too confidently. You've used them before at that trendy sushi place downtown. You think you've got this. You hold them like salad tongs, a wide, splayed grip that makes them unwieldy and ineffective. You try to pick up a piece of pickled daikon, but your grip is too loose, too clumsy. The sliver slips, bounces off the edge of the bowl, and lands silently on the tatami mat. A tiny, almost imperceptible plink. The room, which had been filled with the quiet sounds of polite chewing and gentle sips, goes still. Not a dramatic, sudden silence, but a subtle, almost imperceptible hush. You feel every eye in the room, though no one is overtly staring. The air thickens with unspoken observation. You try again. This time, in a moment of desperate frustration, you try to stab the daikon. The chopsticks, held like tiny spears, descend towards the offending pickle. The room goes even more still. If silence could scream, this would be it. Chopsticks are not to be used for stabbing, or pointing, or waving, or drumming on the side of your bowl. Each of these, in turn, you accidentally do within the next few minutes, in a flurry of nervous energy and cultural ignorance. You point at the fish, trying to indicate you'd like more. You wave them vaguely in the air as you try to explain something non-verbally. You even tap them lightly on the rim of your miso bowl, a nervous habit. Each action is met with the same profound, uncomfortable silence. Someone, a dignified-looking elder across the room, coughs politely. It's not a real cough. It's a performance of a cough, a gentle, almost musical sound that serves as a subtle, yet unmistakable, correction. You immediately, instinctively, apologize. Loudly. Oh, so sorry. My bad. Mistake number 7, and 8, and 9. In feudal Japan, a samurai would apologize with a deep, deliberate bow, or with a quiet, humble silence. Not with talking, especially not with loud, casual, Western-style apologies that draw even more attention to the blunder. Your voice, accustomed to filling spaces, feels jarringly loud in the serene room. You shrink a little, wishing the tatami would swallow you whole. The fish is cold, not unpleasantly so, but certainly not hot. The soup is warm, a comforting savory broth. The pickles are sour, a sharp tang that makes your mouth pucker. You drink the miso soup directly from the bowl, like it's tea, which, to your surprise, is actually correct. A small, fleeting victory. You feel a surge of pride. Then you try to pour your own tea from the small ceramic pot on the table. Incorrect. Someone else is meant to pour it for you. It's a gesture of hospitality, of care, of recognition. By pouring your own, you've subtly implied that your host is neglecting their duties, or that you are too impatient to wait. You've insulted your host, broken 6 taboos, or was it 7 now, and are about to learn that slurping is encouraged, but only in noodle contexts, and never with the delicate quiet of a breakfast miso soup. You sip awkwardly, trying to emulate the quiet, almost imperceptible sips of those around you. Your stomach growls again, a loud, embarrassing rumble that seems to echo through the silent room. You try to suppress it, but it's a defiant roar against the delicate portions and the rigid etiquette. You are hungry, confused, and profoundly out of your depth. The village is quiet, not the oppressive silence of a tomb, but a living, breathing quiet. It's a quiet punctuated by the rhythmic thwack of a distant carpenter's hammer, the soft rustle of bamboo in the breeze, the gentle murmur of voices, and somewhere, a bamboo flute playing a hauntingly beautiful, melancholic melody that seems to drift on the morning air. But the people move with purpose. Calm, order, simplicity. Farmers with hoes over their shoulders, merchants arranging their wares, women carrying baskets, children walking hand in hand. Their steps are light, their gestures economical. There's no hurried rush, no frantic energy. Each movement seems deliberate, part of a larger, unspoken choreography. You, meanwhile, are walking like someone lost in IKEA, perpetually searching for the exit, or perhaps the food court. Your posture is too relaxed, your stride too long, your gaze too wandering. You make eye contact, too much of it. In your world, eye contact is a sign of honesty, of engagement. Here, it can be seen as aggressive, challenging, or simply rude, especially if prolonged. You nod too often, a nervous tick. You wave again, a small, involuntary twitch of the hand as you pass a group of villagers. You immediately regret it, feeling the familiar prickle of cultural misstep. Then, in a desperate attempt to be polite, you say konnichiwa, a word you vaguely remember from a Japanese language app. You say it with a bright, hopeful smile. The problem? Konnichiwa doesn't exist yet. Not in this form, not as a common greeting. That's from a later period, a more modern construct. You are officially greeting people from the future. The villagers you pass simply blink at you, their expressions unreadable, perhaps a flicker of confusion in their eyes. They don't respond. They just keep walking, leaving you in their quiet wake, feeling like an alien who's just tried to communicate with a rock. A group of children, less constrained by adult politeness, giggle, not unkindly, but with the uninhibited mirth of youth witnessing something utterly baffling. You try to smile back, but it feels forced, a grimace of embarrassment. An old man, sitting by his stall, frowns. His disapproval is subtle, but unmistakable. You are, quite clearly, disrupting the quiet harmony of their morning. You walk past a dojo. The sounds of bamboo swords striking against each other, a sharp thwack thwack thwack, fills the air. It's rhythmic, disciplined, a sound of focused effort. You pause to look, drawn by the raw energy. As you lean in, fascinated, you then accidentally step on the wooden threshold at the entrance. That's sacred. That's a boundary. That's mistake number, you've lost count. The threshold of a building, especially a dojo or a home, is considered a spiritual boundary, a place where the outside world meets the inner sanctuary. Stepping on it is disrespectful, almost a violation. It's like walking on a grave or trampling on a sacred scroll. A young man, perhaps a student, who was about to enter, stops dead in his tracks. His eyes widen almost imperceptibly. He doesn't say anything, but his posture stiffens. You immediately sense your error, though you can't articulate why. You quickly step off, feeling a flush of heat rise to your face. You mumble another apology, this one even more incoherent than the last, and bow, a quick, jerky movement. The student simply bows back, equally quickly, and then steps over the threshold, carefully, as if to emphasize your blunder. You are officially the village clown, the walking embodiment of how not to behave. You're still reeling from the threshold incident when you stumble upon a scene in the main thoroughfare. Two men stand in the street. They are not shouting. They are not gesturing wildly. They are barely moving, their bodies held in rigid, almost statuesque stillness. And yet, the tension is unbearable. It hums in the air, a palpable force, far more intimidating than any raised voice. These are samurai, clearly identifiable by their distinctive top knots, the two swords, katana and wakizashi, tucked into their obi, and their aura of quiet, contained power. You've stumbled into a samurai disagreement. About what? You don't know. Possibly a spilled sake cup. Possibly a matter of honor, of family lineage, of life and death. It's hard to tell, because they're speaking in formal Japanese so polite it could curdle milk. Their words are clipped, precise, delivered with an almost chilling courtesy. Each phrase is a veiled challenge. Each pause a moment of unspoken threat. Their faces are impassive, betraying nothing, yet their eyes, when they meet, spark with an intensity that makes your stomach clench. One places his hand near the hilt of his katana, not drawing it, not even touching it, just a subtle shift of his weight, bringing his hand within an inch of the polished scabbard. It's a silent declaration, a promise of swift, deadly action. The other samurai, without changing his expression, simply raises an eyebrow. It's a tiny, almost imperceptible movement, but it speaks volumes. Is that all you've got? You, panicking, your modern sensibilities screaming at the unspoken violence, blurt out, "Hey, fellas, no need to fight. Let's just talk this out, okay?" Your voice, again, is too loud, too casual, too intrusive. It shatters the delicate, dangerous silence they've carefully constructed. They both look at you, silently. Their gazes, sharp and unblinking, pierce through you. It's not an angry look, but one of profound, almost comical, disbelief. You are an anomaly, an irrelevant, noisy interruption in a moment of grave importance. You feel like a fly buzzing around two tigers. Then, with a synchronized, almost choreographed movement, they look away from you and back at each other, as if you had never spoken. The tension immediately snaps back into place, even thicker than before. You are dismissed, ignored, rendered invisible, despite your loud intervention. In that moment, you realize you are a bystander in a society that has strict rules, unspoken codes, and a strong dislike of loud tourists. Your well-intentioned attempt to de-escalate has only highlighted your complete lack of understanding of their world. You are a clumsy, noisy ghost in a meticulously ordered machine. You back away slowly, your heart hammering against your ribs. You feel a cold sweat break out on your forehead. The air still crackles with the unspoken threat between the two samurai, but now, you also feel the weight of your own insignificance. You are a pebble in a river, a momentary ripple, utterly inconsequential to the deep currents of their lives. You just want to disappear. It's time. Nature, in its relentless and utterly unfeudal way, calls. And it calls insistently. Your stomach, perhaps still protesting the small breakfast, begins to churn. You realize, with a growing sense of dread, that you haven't seen anything resembling a modern restroom since you arrived. You discreetly ask the servant, with gestures, having learned your lesson about loud apologies and future greetings, where one might relieve oneself. He points, with a polite, almost imperceptible nod, towards a small wooden structure nestled behind a row of homes, slightly separated from the main living quarters. You approach it with cautious optimism, which quickly dissipates upon entry. Inside, a small, dark, enclosed space. There's a wooden bench, raised slightly off the ground, with a strategically cut hole in it. Beneath the hole, you can only imagine, is a pit, or a bucket, or something equally unglamorous. There's a bamboo ladle resting nearby, presumably for water, and a strong, unmistakable sense of existential dread. The smell, while not overwhelming, is definitely earthy and historical. Very historical. There is no plumbing, no porcelain throne, no flush. There is no toilet paper, No soft, multiply comfort. There is only you, a strategically placed pile of ash, for deodorizing and perhaps for wiping, though you try not to think about that too deeply, and your own profound regret. You stare at the hole, then at the ash, then back at the hole. Your modern brain, accustomed to the seamless, hygienic convenience of a flush toilet, struggles to process this reality. This is not just a bathroom, it's a philosophical challenge. You try to remember a documentary once watched in 2013 about Edo period sanitation. Something about night soil. Something about farmers using it as fertilizer. You remember nothing useful. Only the vague sense of a historical detail that now feels terrifyingly immediate. Your mind races. How do people do this? What's the etiquette? Do I squat? Do I sit? What do I do with the ladle? The answers are not forthcoming. You emerge, changed. Not just physically lighter, but mentally scarred. You feel a profound sense of humility and a deep, abiding gratitude for modern plumbing. You whisper a heartfelt thank you to the ash pile, a silent, desperate prayer of thanks for its existence. It whispers nothing back. It just sits there, a silent, dusty testament to the harsh realities of feudal life. You walk away feeling slightly less human and infinitely more appreciative of indoor plumbing. Your dignity, already tattered, has taken another significant hit. A local noble, perhaps intrigued by your foreign presence or simply exercising polite hospitality, invites you to observe a shinoyu, a Japanese tea ceremony. This is an honor, a sacred, meditative art steeped in centuries of tradition, philosophy, and precise movements. You nod respectfully, trying to project an air of quiet understanding you absolutely do not possess, and sit. You manage to sit cross-legged without too much groaning, a minor victory in itself. For the next 45 minutes, you are completely still. You do not blink, or at least, you try not to blink too often. Every movement of the host is deliberate, graceful, almost agonizingly slow. The whisking of the matcha, the folding of the cloth, the precise placement of each utensil, it's a dance of quiet intention. You try to mimic the serene expressions of the other guests, but your face feels stiff, your eyes darting nervously, trying to absorb every detail. Your legs begin to cramp from the prolonged sitting. You resist the urge to shift, to stretch, to fidget. This is endurance art. You are handed a cup, a beautiful handcrafted ceramic bowl, warm to the touch. You accept it with both hands, as you've seen others do. So far, so good. Then, as instructed by a subtle glance from the host, you are meant to turn it. You turn it incorrectly, rotating it the wrong way, or perhaps too many times. The host's expression remains serene, but you feel the subtle ripple of your error. You sip too early, before the host has given the unspoken signal. The matcha is bitter, earthy, and warm. You try to make it last, but your modern impulse is to gulp. You resist. You place the cup down with the wrong hand, or perhaps in the wrong orientation. Every movement, every placement, has a prescribed order, a specific meaning. You are a bull in a very delicate, very quiet china shop. But despite your numerous, subtle blunders, you are quiet and calm. You are not loud. You are not waving. You are not stabbing anything with chopsticks. You are simply present. You are trying. You are observing. And in that moment, as the quiet ritual unfolds around you, you begin to understand that being still is an art. That life in feudal Japan is slow, purposeful, and full of invisible rules designed to shape you into something more elegant than useful. It's not about efficiency, it's about presence. And for the first time all day, you feel calm. A genuine, unforced calm. The quiet, the ritual, the focus on the present moment has a strange, almost hypnotic effect. The aches in your legs recede. The embarrassment of your earlier mistakes fades. For a fleeting moment, You are simply a part of the quiet, ancient rhythm. It's a profound, unexpected sensation. By now, your body is beginning to ask a dangerous question. Not just a question, but a desperate plea, a primal scream from your very cells. Where's the protein? Where's the caffeine? Where's the sandwich? What about a large, greasy burger with fries and a milkshake? Your internal clock, accustomed to a steady supply of processed sugars and complex carbohydrates, is utterly bewildered by the sustained lack of familiar fuel. Lunch arrives on a low wooden tray, presented with the same meticulous care as breakfast. You eye it with a mixture of hope and resignation. It looks identical to breakfast, or at least strikingly similar. A bowl of steamed white rice, perfectly formed. A small, delicate cup of miso soup, perhaps with a different type of seaweed floating in it this time. More pickled radish, and maybe a different fish. Or maybe the same fish, just wearing a hat. You can't tell. It's small. Very, very small by your standards. You try to smile. Smiling is allowed. Just not too much. Too much smiling implies madness. Or worse, foreignness. You manage a tight, polite smile, a strained curve of the lips that feels more like a grimace. You chew slowly, deliberately, trying to savor each small bite, to convince your body that this meager offering is enough. This time, you don't stab anything with your chopsticks. You manage to pick up the rice, grain by grain, with a newfound, if still clumsy, precision. You even slurp your miso soup with acceptable enthusiasm, remembering the noodle context rule and applying it liberally to all liquids. Progress. Small, incremental, but progress nonetheless. Then, perhaps emboldened by your minor successes, or simply driven by an overwhelming craving, you murmur, almost to yourself, "You know what would make this perfect? A Diet Coke." The words, though barely whispered, seem to hang in the air, a jarring anachronism. A monk, seated across the room, who had been sipping his soup with serene concentration, choked slightly. Not a violent, dramatic choke, but a subtle, polite sputter, quickly recovered. He doesn't know what a Diet Coke is, of course. But he senses it. He senses the unholy, the unnatural, the profoundly non-feudal nature of the utterance. His eyes, for a fleeting moment, widen with a hint of bewildered alarm before returning to their customary placidness. You immediately bow in apology. A quick, almost automatic dip of your head. You now bow automatically every 5 minutes. Like a slow-motion bobblehead, your head dips and rises with an almost compulsive rhythm, a nervous tick born of constant cultural anxiety. You bow when you enter a room. You bow when someone looks at you. You bow when you think you might have thought something offensive. This is your life now. A perpetual state of polite, slightly frantic deference. Someone, perhaps a young samurai student eager to demonstrate his skills, or simply a well-meaning villager trying to engage the strange foreigner, suggests you try Kyudo, the art of Japanese archery. You agree. Mistake. A big one. Your arm, accustomed to lifting nothing heavier than a remote control or a coffee cup, is already protesting the morning's activities. You are handed a Yumi bow. It is tall, taller than you are, almost impossibly so, reaching well above your head. It is elegant, curved like a poetic metaphor, crafted from laminated bamboo and wood, smooth and polished. It feels impossibly light, yet carries an inherent power. You are shown how to stand, how to breathe, how to draw the bow. The movements are fluid, precise, a dance of balance and strength. It's not just about hitting a target. It's about the meditative process, the harmony of body and mind. You immediately do all three incorrectly. You hold it like a water gun, gripping it awkwardly, your fingers splayed. You aim like a confused pirate, squinting one eye, tilting your head, and pointing the arrow vaguely in the direction of the target, which seems impossibly far away. You try to draw the string, but it's surprisingly stiff, requiring more strength than you possess. Your arm wobbles. Your stance is wobbly. You look less like a disciplined archer and more like a scarecrow caught in a strong breeze. The arrow, when you finally manage to release it, wobbles midair. It spins erratically, veering wildly off course, and flies straight into a decorative koi banner hanging near the practice range. Not the target, the banner. A beautiful, hand-painted banner depicting a vibrant red koi swimming upstream, now pierced by your errant arrow. A hush falls over the group of onlookers. Not an angry hush, but a stunned, almost disbelieving silence. The kind of silence that says, "Did that just happen?" A bird cries in the distance, a mournful, solitary sound that seems to underscore the profound failure. You bow again, instinctively, twice, a desperate, pleading double bow, as if to apologize for your very existence. You mumble something about accidents and beginner's luck, but your words are lost in the quiet. You are politely asked to go sit over there. Over there is a shaded bench, far away from the archery range, a place for contemplation and, presumably, for thinking about your life choices. You retreat, feeling the weight of collective disappointment and the undeniable truth that some arts are best left to the masters. Your dignity, already on life support, flatlines. Now, if you thought feudal Japan was all sword fights and rooftop flips, you're thinking of anime, or bad reenactments, or perhaps that one video game you played last week. The reality of a samurai's life in peacetime, especially for those not actively engaged in warfare or political intrigue, was far more sedate. A real samurai in peacetime spends his afternoon in quiet reflection, studying poetry, practicing calligraphy, reading ancient texts, meditating, writing short poems about trees or the changing seasons or the fleeting nature of beauty. It's a life of discipline, not just in combat, but in the cultivation of the mind and spirit. You are handed a brush, a small inkstone, a block of solid ink, and a stack of delicate rice paper. Your goal? Write a haiku, a 575-syllable poem, capturing a fleeting moment of nature or emotion. You stare at the blank paper, then at the brush. It feels alien in your hand, far too delicate for your clumsy grip. The ink, when you grind it with a little water on the inkstone, is thick and black. You panic. Your mind, accustomed to rapid-fire social media posts and instant messaging, struggles to find anything profound or poetic within the confines of 5 syllables. You think of your phone, your Wi-Fi, your comfortable bed, your current predicament. You dip the brush. It feels wrong. You try to write, but the ink blobs, the lines waver. Your first attempt looks like a frightened spider tried to walk across the page. You try again, and again. Finally, in a moment of desperate honesty, you manage to scrawl this. I miss Wi-Fi now. This robe itches. I am lost. Where's the bathroom? It's 575, technically, but it's hardly a masterpiece of classical Japanese poetry. You push the paper forward, feeling a mix of shame and defiant humor. A monk, observing your efforts, picks up the paper. He reads it, slowly. His brow furrows slightly. He doesn't understand English, of course, but he reads the lines, the strange characters, the obvious struggle. He nods, not because you did well, but because he senses the profound, universal pain of being lost, uncomfortable, and disconnected. He simply feels your pain, a silent, empathetic acknowledgement of your modern suffering in an ancient world. You feel a strange mix of relief and renewed embarrassment. Your artistic contribution to feudal Japan is a cry for Wi-Fi and a toilet. You are invited to take a tour of the nearby rice paddies. The landscape is stunning, wide terraces carved into gentle hillsides, reflecting the sky like a series of shimmering mirrors. The young rice shoots, a vibrant green, stand in neat rows, promising future sustenance. It's a scene of serene beauty, of timeless agricultural harmony. But it's also muddy, very muddy, uneven, and alive with the buzzing of insects and the croaking of frogs. The ground is soft, squishy, and wet. You, meanwhile, are wearing thin, traditional sandals, zori, which offer little protection or grip. Your soft modern feet, accustomed to paved sidewalks and cushioned sneakers, are utterly unprepared for this reality. You step in with your zori, immediately regret it. The cool, slimy mud oozes between your toes, squelching with each step. You try to walk carefully, but your balance is off. Your feet, unused to the uneven terrain, slip. You flail, arms windmilling, trying desperately to regain your footing. In a moment of pure, unthinking panic, you grab onto the nearest stable object, a farmer's wide-brimmed straw hat. The farmer, who had been stooping over his plants, ducks instinctively, his hat flying off his head. You, having lost your improvised stabilizer, fall into mud, rice shoots, and mild, profound shame. You land with a soft splat, your hakama soaking up the muddy water like a sponge. Rice stalks brush against your face. You are covered in wet earth, a living, breathing mud pie. A group of children, who had been following you with curious eyes, burst into laughter. Not cruel laughter, but the pure, unadulterated joy of witnessing an adult perform an unexpected, comical pratfall. You wave at them, a reflex, then immediately realize no waving. You drop your hand, feeling foolish. You manage to push yourself up, covered in mud. You bow, a deep, mud-splattered bow, trying to convey a profound apology. This bow is not elegant. It is a swamp bow, a muddy genuflection born of humiliation. The farmer, surprisingly, is not angry. He simply retrieves his hat, dusts it off, and helps you up with a gentle hand. He offers you a bundle of freshly harvested rice shoots, their roots still caked with mud, a gesture of kindness, and perhaps a subtle suggestion that you might be more useful planting than walking. You thank him, bow again, a slightly less muddy one this time, and realize you don't know what to do with raw rice shoots. Do you eat them? Plant them? Use them as an offering? In your confusion, you decide to put them in your sleeve, a desperate attempt to hide them. The rice shoots, of course, immediately fall out through the wide sleeve opening, scattering onto the ground. The children laugh again, even louder this time. It's now official. You are the village entertainment. The clumsy, mud-covered foreigner who can't even walk straight. Your reputation precedes you, a trail of dropped rice and cultural blunders. You want to redeem yourself, desperately. After the rice paddy incident, you feel an overwhelming need to prove your worth, to show that you are not entirely useless, that you can contribute something, anything, to this ancient society. Someone offers you a chance to split logs for the communal bath. A simple, honest task. Physical labor. Something you can surely do. You nod with grim determination, a steely resolve in your eyes that probably looks more like constipation. You're handed a small axe. It's not a modern, perfectly balanced splitting maul. It's a simple, heavy tool, its wooden handle smooth from years of use, its blade sharp but unpolished. The axe is heavier than it looks, its weight pulling your arm down. The log, a thick, gnarled piece of wood, is harder than you expected, resisting your feeble attempts. The villagers are watching, their expressions polite but expectant. You raise the axe. It feels awkward in your hands. You swing. The blow is weak, off-center. You miss the log entirely, the axe head thudding harmlessly into the soft earth beside it. A small puff of dust rises. You raise the axe again, determined. Swing. This time, you connect. But it's a glancing blow, chipping a small sliver off the edge of the log. The log remains stubbornly intact. Your arms ache. Your back protests. You try to remember that YouTube video you saw about proper axe technique. It's no help. By attempt number 5, your arms are shaking. You're panting slightly. The log remains stubbornly unsplit. A small elderly woman, who had been quietly observing from a few feet away, approaches. Her face is wrinkled, her posture slightly stooped, but her eyes are sharp and knowing. Without a word, she gently takes the axe from your hands. Her grip is surprisingly firm. She raises the axe. Her movement is fluid, economical, powerful. She doesn't strain. She doesn't grunt. With one clean, precise movement, the axe descends, and the log splits perfectly in two with a satisfying crack. The two halves fall neatly to either side. The village cheers. A quiet, appreciative murmur of approval, a collective sigh of satisfaction. You clap for her, loudly, enthusiastically, feeling a strange mix of awe and profound inadequacy. The woman bows, a graceful, humble dip of her head. You bow. Everyone bows. It's a bowing epidemic. Then you sneak back to the house, feeling utterly defeated, and pretend you have urgent calligraphy duties. You pick up the brush, remembering your earlier haiku, and silently vow to stick to tasks that involve less potential for public humiliation and physical exertion. The sound of the axe splitting wood, now wielded by someone competent, echoes faintly in the distance, a reminder of your utter failure. Evening falls slowly in feudal Japan, like a poem written sideways, the light softening, the shadows lengthening, painting the world in hues of orange and deep blue. The air, which had been bright and clear earlier, now carries a gentle coolness. The market stalls, which had been bustling with the quiet efficiency of the day, begin to transform. Small lanterns, made of paper and bamboo, are lit, casting warm, flickering glows that dance on the faces of the vendors and their wares. The smell of soy sauce, grilled vegetables, and something vaguely fermented, perhaps sake, perhaps pickled plums, wafts through the air, a rich, complex aroma that is both unfamiliar and strangely comforting. You wander through the stalls, feeling a little less like a bewildered alien and more like a curious observer. No phones to check, no coins in your pocket, no language to speak, beyond the occasional mumble and the now automatic bow. Just nodding. A lot of nodding. You try to observe, to learn, to simply exist. You find a vendor selling sweets. Tiny, delicate wagashi, traditional Japanese confections, often made from mochi, rice cake, or bean paste, shaped into intricate designs of flowers or leaves. They look like edible works of art, too beautiful to eat. You gesture politely, pointing to a particularly vibrant pink one, trying to convey interest without speaking. He smiles, a kind, crinkled smile, and hands you one. It's soft, slightly sticky, and perfectly formed. You reach into your sleeve, remembering your earlier attempt to hide the rice, and find a small, smooth river rock. It's the only thing you have. You offer it to him, a desperate, pathetic attempt at payment. He looks at the rock, then at you, and smiles again. He gently declines the rock, pushing your hand back towards you. He gives you the wagashi anyway, a gesture of pure generosity, perhaps amused by your strange offering. You take a bite. It's chewy, unfamiliar, slightly sweet, with a delicate, earthy flavor from the red bean paste. The texture is unlike anything you've ever eaten. You like it. A lot. It's a small, unexpected moment of pure pleasure, a taste of something genuinely new and delightful. For a moment, as you chew the sweet, soft wagashi, you feel at peace. The anxieties of the day, the constant stream of mistakes, recede. You are simply a person eating a sweet, watching the lanterns glow. It's a simple, profound moment of quiet contentment. As the twilight deepens, casting long, dramatic shadows. A local samurai school begins a public demonstration in the village square. A small crowd gathers, hushed and expectant. This is not a casual sparring match. This is a display of disciplined art, of years of rigorous training. The samurai, dressed in their formal hakama and kimonos, move with an almost supernatural grace. They wield wooden swords, bakken. Striking with controlled power, their movements fluid and precise. It's a mesmerizing display of kata, prearranged patterns of sword movements, practiced countless times until they become second nature. Each motion is deliberate, elegant, even beautiful. The air is filled with the sharp whoosh of the bakken cutting through the air, the soft thud of their feet on the packed earth, and the occasional sharp, guttural shout, ki, that punctuates their movements. You sit cross-legged, very still, in the back of the small crowd. You do not raise your hand. You do not smile too much. You do not wave. You have learned. You are simply an observer, trying to absorb the quiet intensity of the moment. Progress. Significant progress. A student performs a kata. His movements are like a slow-motion dance. Each step, each turn of the wrist, each swing of the wooden sword, executed with perfect form. You feel awkward in your own skin just watching, aware of your own clumsy body, your own lack of discipline. The contrast between your earlier archery attempt and this effortless display is stark. Another student steps forward. He stands before a straw dummy, a makiwara, used for cutting practice. He raises his real katana, its polished blade glinting in the lantern light. He takes a breath, focuses, and then, with a single, clean, incredibly fast cut, slices through the straw dummy. The top half slides neatly to the ground. The sound is a sharp swish followed by a soft thud. It's terrifyingly efficient. You silently promise never to challenge anyone here to anything, ever. Not to a duel, not to a game of rock, paper, scissors, not even to a polite debate about the weather. The sheer precision and power on display are humbling. The demonstration ends. Everyone bows. A deep, respectful, collective bow. You bow too, and mean it. This time, your bow is not born of panic or confusion, but of genuine awe and respect for the mastery you have just witnessed. It's a small, quiet moment of true connection, a silent acknowledgement of a world where discipline and grace are paramount. You've heard whispers of the Sento, the public bath. It's a common feature of Japanese life, a place for cleanliness, relaxation, and quiet community. You are both curious and terrified. Curious about the experience, terrified about the etiquette, and the prospect of communal nudity. Your modern sensibilities scream at the thought. The bathhouse is quiet, warm, and inviting. It's made of dark, aromatic cedar and smooth, cool stone. The air is thick with steam, carrying the faint, clean scent of wood and warm water. It feels ancient, timeless, a place of quiet contemplation. You undress in a small changing area, feeling self-conscious. You fold your borrowed robe as neatly as you can, trying to remember the tailor's lessons. You enter the washing area. This is not where you bathe. It's where you clean yourself before entering the communal hot tub. Small wooden stools and basins are lined up along a low wall. You sit on a tiny wooden stool. The water from the tap is cool, fresh. The soap, you discover, is a strange, gritty paste made from rice ash and crushed beans. It doesn't lather like your chemical-laden body wash, but it feels surprisingly effective, a gentle abrasive. You scrub, methodically, trying to emulate the quiet, thorough movements of the others around you. No splashing, no loud scrubbing, just the soft sounds of water and skin. You feel oddly vulnerable, yet also strangely liberated. Then, you enter the hot bath, and you melt. The water is perfect, deep, incredibly hot, but not scalding. It envelopes you, a wave of pure, blissful warmth. Steam rises around you, swirling gently, blurring the edges of the room. Your muscles, stiff from the tatami mat and your clumsy attempts at feudal life, begin to loosen. Joints that had been protesting all day sigh in relief. Your back no longer resents you. It feels like a warm, liquid embrace. No one speaks. It is an ocean of polite, naked silence. People simply sit, soak, and reflect. There's no small talk, no forced conversation. Just the gentle sounds of water, of breathing, of quiet contentment. You close your eyes, letting the heat seep into your bones. You're still too tall. You're still a foreigner. You're still probably doing something slightly wrong, though you can't tell what. But in this moment, floating like an overheated dumpling in a bowl of perfect broth, you belong. You feel a profound sense of peace, a quiet acceptance that transcends language and cultural barriers. It's a humbling, yet deeply comforting experience. The day's anxieties, for a precious few minutes, simply wash away. Dinner is humble, predictable, and yet, after the communal bath, it feels like a feast. Rice again. Of course, it's no longer just food. It's the foundation of existence. A small, delicate portion of tofu, perhaps lightly fried or simmered in broth. A little pickled plum, omebashi, which tastes like a dare, a puckeringly sour and salty explosion that makes your eyes water. But you chew slowly. You don't try to talk. You don't wave. You don't even think about stabbing anything with your chopsticks. You just sit and observe. You've learned. You've adapted, even if only slightly. You see how everyone eats in rhythm, how no one rushes, how each bite is taken with care, with a quiet appreciation for the sustenance it provides. There's no distraction, no television, no phone. Just the food, the company, and the quiet ritual of the meal. You realize this isn't just food. It's time made edible. It's the culmination of endless hours of labor, of sun and rain, of human effort. Every grain, every morsel, holds a story. And you quietly mourn the pizza rolls you once microwaved in 90 seconds while watching 3 YouTube videos at once, a blur of mindless consumption. The contrast is stark. Here, eating is an act of mindfulness. You finish your meal, feeling satisfied in a way that goes beyond mere fullness. Your stomach, surprisingly, is no longer growling. You feel a quiet contentment, a sense of having participated in something ancient and meaningful. The night has settled in fully. The air is cool, crisp, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and distant wood smoke. The sky is a vast, dark velvet sheet, dotted with an impossible number of stars, glittering with a clarity you rarely see in your light-polluted modern world. The Milky Way stretches across the heavens, a shimmering river of light. You sit outside, on a low wooden veranda, watching fireflies blink between the rice stalks in the nearby field, tiny, ephemeral sparks of light in the vast darkness. The only sounds are the chirping of crickets, the rustle of leaves in a gentle breeze, and the distant croaking of frogs. A child, perhaps one of the giggling ones from the rice paddy, approaches shyly. He offers you a carved wooden toy. It's a top, simple but beautifully crafted. You take it, feeling the smooth wood beneath your fingers. You try to spin it. It wobbles, then spins for half a second before falling over. You are delighted. A small, pure moment of joy, unburdened by expectations or performance. The child smiles, a genuine, uninhibited smile. Inside, the house is dimly lit by a single lantern, its soft, warm glow casting long, dancing shadows. The paper walls of the shoji screens flicker with the movement of the flame, creating a mesmerizing play of light and shadow, a living canvas. You are offered a futon. It is firm, not the plush, cloud-like futon you might imagine from a modern Japanese store, but a thin, firm mattress laid directly on the tatami. The pillow is still a small wooden brick, or perhaps a slightly softer, cylindrical pillow filled with buckwheat hulls. You accept both gratefully, no longer questioning the discomfort, simply accepting the reality of it. Before bed, someone reads a poem aloud. It's about the moon, its serene beauty, its silent journey across the night sky. The words are in Japanese, of course. You don't understand the literal meaning, but you feel them. The gentle rhythm, the soft cadence of the voice, the quiet reverence for nature. It's a lullaby for the soul, a soft invitation to stillness. You lie on your back, stretched out on the firm futon. The tatami mat beneath it is hard, unyielding. The room is cool, the air fresh, carrying the faint, earthy scent of the garden. Somewhere outside, a night bird calls, a soft, melancholic sound. A dog barks once, a distant, muffled sound. Then silence returns, deep and profound, broken only by the gentle hum of insects and the sound of your own breathing. You shift. You try to get comfortable. You miss your sheets, the soft, high thread count cotton. You miss your AC, the cool, regulated air. Your fan, set to oscillate, creating that gentle, rhythmic white noise. You miss the familiar sounds of your modern home, the distant hum of traffic, the faint glow of city lights. But you also feel something else, a kind of weightlessness, a release from the constant pressure of modern life, a rhythm to the day that is slow, deliberate, and deeply ingrained, a ceremony in each moment. Even in failure, even in discomfort, you've been forced to slow down, to observe, to simply be. And as your eyes close, heavy with a day of unexpected lessons and constant cultural blunders, you whisper one last thing, a silent promise to yourself, a small, hopeful aspiration. Tomorrow, I'll bow better. You're almost asleep. Almost. That sweet, heavy blanket of unconsciousness is just beginning to settle over you, promising a respite from the day's endless stream of cultural faux pas. But then, a soft, almost imperceptible tap-tap-tap on the shoji screen. It's gentle, polite, but insistent enough to pull you back from the brink of sleep. You blink, disoriented, and push yourself up onto your elbows. A young boy, perhaps the same one who offered you the wooden top earlier, stands outside the shoji. He's silhouetted by the faint moonlight, a small, earnest figure. He says something you don't understand, softly, politely, his voice a gentle murmur. He points. Not at you, but to your rice bowl, which you had left on the low table, now empty. Completely clean, you thought. You'd meticulously scraped every last grain, proud of your newfound adherence to the no-waste philosophy. You smile, a sleepy, triumphant smile. Delicious, you say, gesturing to the bowl, trying to convey your appreciation. He frowns, just a little, a tiny, almost imperceptible crease between his brows. He shakes his head, ever so slightly. Then he points again. More deliberately this time. He points to a single grain of rice. It's stuck in the bottom corner of the bowl, clinging stubbornly to the ceramic. It's so small, barely visible, a tiny, defiant speck of white against the dark bowl. Your heart sinks. You thought you were done. You thought you had mastered the rice bowl. But no, the universe, or at least feudal Japan, demands absolute perfection. You pick it out. With a sigh, you use your finger to dislodge the stubborn grain. It feels impossibly small, yet carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken expectations. You eat it, slowly, deliberately. The single grain of rice, now imbued with profound significance, feels like a final, humbling lesson. He bows. A small, perfect bow. You bow. A weary, resigned bow. Then he vanishes, as silently and mysteriously as he appeared, like a tiny ghost of accountability, leaving you alone with your perfectly clean bowl and the lingering shame of the single, forgotten grain. You lie back down, feeling a renewed sense of the impossible standards of this world. Sleep, it seems, is still a distant concept. The single rice grain incident has left you feeling restless. You decide to explore the quiet house, perhaps to find a more comfortable sleeping position, or simply to stretch your cramped limbs. You wander down a dimly lit hallway, guided by the faint glow of a distant lantern. You push open a sliding shoji screen and find what appears to be a dressing room. It's small, intimate, and surprisingly sparse. A low wooden chest sits against one wall. On a lacquered stand in the center of the room, a small, polished bronze mirror sits. It's not a modern glass mirror, but a reflective metal surface, its image slightly softer, hazier, less brutally honest. You approach it, hesitantly. You haven't seen your reflection all day. Part of you dreads it. Part of you is morbidly curious. You lean in, peering at the faint image. You see your reflection, and it's not pretty. You do not look like a samurai. You do not look like a serene traveler. You look like someone cosplaying badly at a museum with no air conditioning, after having fallen into a mud pit and battled a stubborn rice grain. Your robe is, indeed, inside out. The seams are visible, the inner lining showing. There's a leaf, a small, dried leaf, stuck in your hair from the rice paddy incident. Your eyebrows look perpetually surprised to be here, etched with a mixture of confusion and mild panic. Your face is smudged in places, your hair disheveled. You look tired, bewildered, and profoundly out of place. You sigh, a long, drawn-out sigh of utter defeat. You try to fix your collar, but your clumsy fingers only manage to make it worse, pulling the fabric into an even more crumpled mess. You attempt to smooth your hair, but only succeed in dislodging the leaf, which floats silently to the tatami. You make peace with your image. This is who you are now, the perpetually disheveled, culturally inept foreigner. You even manage a small, wry smile at your own reflection. Then, in a moment of lingering paranoia, you try to turn the mirror around, just in case it's judging you. It's a small, heavy object, and you manage to turn it face down on the stand, feeling a tiny, irrational sense of triumph. At least it can't see you now. As you reflect on your day, lying back on the firm futon, staring at the dimly lit wooden beams above, a pattern becomes clear. A profound, almost existential realization settles over you. You are not failing because you're disrespectful. Not intentionally, anyway. You're not trying to be rude. You're genuinely trying. You're failing because you're from a world with fewer rituals. A world of convenience, of speed, of individual expression above collective harmony. A world where most actions are functional, not ceremonial. Here, in feudal Japan, everything is a ritual. Every single thing. Walking into a room. There's a specific way to slide the shoji, a specific way to step over the threshold, which you now know not to step on. Sitting on the floor. The precise way to fold your legs, the posture to maintain. Pouring tea. The delicate, almost choreographed movements, the specific order. Speaking to elders. The honorifics, the tone, the deference. Holding chopsticks. The grip, the angle, the forbidden gestures. Blowing your nose, never in public, always discreetly into a piece of paper, which you then discard. Taking off your sandals, always before entering a building, always placed neatly together. Even the way you eat a single grain of rice. It's not just about following rules. It's about becoming the rule. It's about embodying the culture, moving slowly, intentionally, with humility, with an awareness of your place within the larger social fabric. It's about being present in every single micro moment. You think back to this morning when you waved. That big, friendly, utterly inappropriate wave. It feels like a lifetime ago. You cringe internally. You will never wave again. Not in feudal Japan, anyway. The very thought of it makes you shudder. You have absorbed this lesson, finally. The rules are not just external impositions. They are internal transformations. And you are, slowly, painfully, being transformed. As the house settles into its deepest sleep, a profound quiet descends. The kind of quiet that makes you acutely aware of every subtle sound. The wind outside picks up a soft, mournful sigh that rustles the bamboo groves nearby. The paper walls of the shoji screens rustle faintly, a dry, whispering sound. The old wooden roof creaks, a slow, deliberate groan as the timbers settle. You sit up, your heart giving a small, involuntary thump against your ribs. Is it an earthquake? A ghost? Or just history breathing, the ancient house settling around you? Your modern brain, accustomed to the sealed, insulated boxes of contemporary homes, struggles to interpret these organic sounds. Then silence returns. Deep. Absolute. The wind dies down. The house falls quiet once more, a vast, dark presence around you. You lie back down, staring at the ceiling. The wooden beams above you are dark, rough-hewn, and older than your entire family line. Older than your country, probably. They have witnessed centuries of lives lived, of joys and sorrows, of silent mornings and quiet nights. You feel the weight of that history pressing down on you, not oppressively, but with a profound sense of continuity. You wonder what the people here would think of your world. Your loud, fast, brightly lit world. Glass buildings that pierce the sky. Earbuds that seal you off from the sounds of life. Speed limits that govern every movement. Air fryers that cook food in minutes. They might find it overwhelming. The constant noise, the frantic pace, the lack of stillness. They might find it profoundly unsettling, a world without ma. They might also laugh at how you handle a robe, and how you eat rice, and how you bow. The thought brings a faint smile to your lips. You are a curious anomaly, a temporary visitor from an unimaginable future. And they, in their quiet, ancient world, are the true masters of living. Your dream is vivid. Technicolor, almost. You are back home, back in your apartment, on your plush, soft, overpriced mattress. The air conditioning hums gently. Your phone screen glows with notifications. You reach for it, a familiar comfort. But then, you realize you're holding a rice bowl. A perfectly round, ceramic rice bowl. And it's vibrating. Not a gentle vibration, but a frantic, insistent buzz. You open it, and it's full of emails. Thousands of them. Unread. Urgent. They shimmer with the blue light of your screen. You stare at them, bewildered. You eat one. A long, unread email from your boss. It tastes like guilt and stale coffee. You chew, grimacing, the digital words dissolving on your tongue like bitter ash. Then the couch floats away, not gently, but with a sudden, alarming lurch. You are lifted into the air, suspended in a void of flashing notifications and digital noise. You land, with a soft splat, in a wooden tub. It's the communal bath from earlier. You're surrounded by samurai, all of them silently judging your posture, your lack of grace, the way you hold your chopsticks. They don't speak, but their silent disapproval is deafening. One of them points a katana at a single, forgotten grain of rice in the corner of the tub. You wake up sweating. Your heart is pounding. The dream lingers, a bizarre fusion of your two realities. There's a cricket on your pillow. A real one. Small, brown, its antennae twitching. It stares at you with tiny, unblinking eyes. You stare back. You name him Dave. Dave does not bow. He simply chirps, a small, insistent sound that fills the quiet room. You sigh, a long, weary exhalation. Even in your dreams, and even with the presence of a cricket named Dave, there is no escape from the relentless lessons of feudal Japan. A bell rings in the distance. A deep, resonant sound. A temple bell. Soft. Hollow. It reverberates through the quiet night. A long, lingering note that seems to hang in the air, slowly fading, only to be replaced by another. You sit up and listen. The sound is profound, ancient, a voice from a time long past. It rings again, then again, 12 times. Each chime is slow, deliberate, spaced out, allowing the sound to fully dissipate before the next begins. It's a Buddhist temple marking the hours. Each strike a reminder of the passage of time, of impermanence, of the cyclical nature of existence. You realize time passes differently here. It's not measured in scrolling, or deadlines, or app updates, or the frantic pace of your modern life. It's measured in sound, in silence, in ritual, in the steam of a bath, in the wind through the bamboo, in the slow, deliberate unfolding of the night. It's a deeper, more organic rhythm. You look around the quiet room. The shoji screens are pale rectangles in the darkness. The wooden beams are silent witnesses. You breathe. A slow, deep breath. You don't want to go back. Not entirely. There's a strange peace here, a profound stillness that your overstimulated modern brain has been craving. The quiet has seeped into your bones, calming the frantic buzz of your usual thoughts. Then you remember the bathroom, the hole, the ash, the existential dread, and you really want to go back. The conflict is real. The peace is profound, but the practicalities are challenging. You sigh, a long, conflicted sound. The urge to move, to escape the confines of the room and the wooden pillow, becomes irresistible. You slip out of the house, moving silently, carefully, remembering to step over the threshold. The moon is high, a brilliant silver disk in the inky sky, casting long, sharp shadows. The air is cool, refreshing, carrying the scent of damp earth and night-blooming flowers. You walk past sleeping houses, their paper screens glowing faintly from within, like soft, warm embers. No traffic, no streetlights, no blaring music, just the gentle chorus of frogs. And frogs judging you, you're sure of it. Their croaks seem to follow you, a chorus of amphibian disapproval. You find a small, ancient-looking tree near a quiet stream. You sit beneath it, on the cool, damp earth, and listen. To nothing. Not really. Just the sounds of nature. The stream gurgling softly. The crickets chirping. The distant hoot of an owl. Not even your own thoughts are loud anymore. The constant internal chatter, the endless to-do lists, the anxieties of your modern life. They have quieted, hushed by the overwhelming presence of this ancient, silent world. You feel not like you belong. Not yet, but like you've stopped resisting where you don't. You've surrendered to the quiet, to the slowness, to the profound difference. It's something, a small, significant shift within you. A quiet acceptance of your temporary displacement. You try to go back to sleep. You really do. You return to your futon, hoping that the peace of your midnight walk will translate into restful slumber. But the pillow is still made of wood, and the blanket is still too short, leaving your feet exposed to the cool night air. And there's something crawling across your ankle that may or may not be a historical fact, but definitely feels like a very large, very ancient insect. You slap at it instinctively, then immediately regret the sudden, loud noise. You sit up and sigh. A long, weary, exasperated sigh. You miss air conditioning. You miss socks. You miss the modern world's utter lack of insects the size of thumb drives. You miss the comfortable, predictable, sanitized bubble of your own time. The romance of feudal Japan, at this hour, is wearing thin. But you also realize, you've made it this far. You've survived an entire day. No duel. No exile. No bamboo-related injuries, beyond the minor indignities of the axe. You haven't been arrested for cultural insensitivity. You haven't starved. You have survived longer than expected. Barely. And with a profound, almost absurd sense of accomplishment, you lie back down, ready to face whatever new, quiet challenges the rising sun will bring. The sun rises, not with a dramatic flourish, but with a gentle, diffused light filtering through the shoji screens. The room slowly brightens, revealing the familiar wooden beams, the tatami mats, the quiet simplicity of your surroundings. You're offered food. You recognize it instantly. Rice, miso, pickles, the same fish, possibly its cousin, or perhaps its distant, equally small relative. It's a testament to the unchanging nature of daily life here. You eat slowly. This time, there's no frantic fumbling with chopsticks. No accidental stabbings. You pick up each grain of rice with a newfound, almost meditative precision. You don't talk. You don't wave. You don't make any sudden movements. You bow, and this time it feels right. It's not a panicked, clumsy dip. It's a smooth, deliberate, respectful inclination of your head, a quiet acknowledgement of the food, the host, the moment. It feels natural, almost ingrained. You finish the rice completely, every single grain. You even check the corners of the bowl, just in case. The boy from last night, who had been observing you with his usual quiet intensity, gives you a subtle nod, a kind of rice-based knighthood, a silent induction into the Clean Bowl Club. You feel a small, quiet surge of pride. You have mastered the rice. A small victory, but a victory nonetheless. Another rooster. This time, its crow doesn't feel accusatory, but simply a statement of fact, a natural part of the morning. Another breeze, carrying the scent of damp earth and the promise of a new day. Another sequence of moments strung together like beads on a silk thread, each one a small, deliberate act. And this time, you know how to move. You've learned the choreography. You bow just enough. Not too deep, not too shallow. A perfect, polite inclination. You wash without flailing, pouring the cold water slowly, deliberately, feeling the bracing chill, accepting it. You adjust your robe with reasonable dignity, having finally figured out which way is front and how to keep the obi from slipping. You still don't look like a samurai, but you no longer look like a wrinkled lantern. You're more like a slightly rumpled, but functional, paper doll. You still don't understand most of what's happening. The nuances of the language, the intricacies of the social hierarchy, the deeper meanings behind every ritual. But that's okay. You've stopped needing to understand everything. You've started to simply be in it. You are a soft creature of the future, briefly lost in the past, and somehow still alive. You've navigated a day of profound cultural shock and emerged, not unscathed, but certainly not defeated. You are a little wiser, a little humbler, and a lot more appreciative of modern plumbing. The town is waking up again. The sounds are familiar now. The distant thwack of wood, the murmur of voices, the gentle rustle of bamboo. You're standing just outside the house, watching the morning mist drift over the fields like a slow exhale, a breath of ancient air. A nearby woman is sweeping the stone path with a bamboo broom, her movements fluid, rhythmic, almost meditative. Somehow she makes it look ceremonial, graceful. You watch her, mesmerized by her effortless efficiency. You feel a renewed desire to contribute, to prove that you're not just a clumsy tourist. You pick up a second broom, one leaning against the wall. It's made of rough, tied bamboo, surprisingly light. You try to help. You mimic her posture, her grip. The first sweep is too fast. You push the broom with an eager, modern efficiency, sending a small cloud of dust swirling into the air. The second is too loud. The bamboo bristles scrape harshly against the stone, a jarring sound in the quiet morning. By the third, your enthusiastic, yet misguided, efforts have kicked up a cloud of dust directly into the face of a passing merchant. He had been walking with a quiet dignity, and now he is enveloped in a gritty haze. He sneezes. Politely, a small, almost apologetic achoo. He bows, a quick, dignified dip of his head, as if you were apologizing for the dust. You bow back, not just because it's polite, but because it buys you time to emotionally recover from your latest blunder. Your face flushes. You've turned a simple act of sweeping into an environmental hazard. The woman, who had paused her sweeping to observe your efforts, gently reclaims your broom. Her touch is light, her expression unreadable. She doesn't scold. She simply gestures toward the well, a small, quiet motion that conveys a clear message. Sweep later. Water now. You understand. You are learning. Slowly, painfully, but you are learning. And the path, for now, remains dusty. You approach the wooden tub again, the one with the cold water, with a newfound sense of purpose. This time, you know the drill. You fill the small wooden basin slowly, carefully, not a drop spilled. You pour the water over your hands and face with deliberate movements. No splashing, no frantic flailing, just the cool, bracing water, accepted without complaint. You dab dry with your sleeve, even though it still leaves a damp patch that feels like failure, a constant reminder of your lack of a proper towel. But you do not panic. You do not sigh loudly. You do not hum. You remember not to ask if they've invented toothbrushes yet. They have. Their twigs, often chewed until frayed at one end. You've seen them. You've decided to stick with rinsing. You feel almost clean. A different kind of clean than you're used to, but a clean nonetheless. A clean born of ritual and acceptance, not just soap and hot water. Then, as if to underscore your still limited abilities, a small child walks past. He can't be more than 5 or 6 years old. He's carrying a full basket of freshly washed laundry, balanced perfectly on their head, without spilling a single drop. His tiny feet move with a steady, confident gait. You smile. A genuine, unforced smile this time. You are not that balanced. You would have spilled the entire basket, probably tripped, and then bowed repeatedly in the resulting puddle. But you are trying. And in this world, trying seems to count for something. A local tailor, perhaps a relative of your host, invites you to try mending a sleeve. A simple task, surely. A quiet, domestic skill. You nod, eager to prove your dexterity, to finally accomplish something useful. You sit quietly on a tatami mat, the sun filtering softly through the shoji. You are handed a tiny bone needle, surprisingly sharp, and a length of dark thread. You manage to thread the needle after several clumsy attempts, feeling a small surge of accomplishment. You begin to stitch, trying to emulate the neat, even stitches of the tailor. Within 45 seconds, disaster strikes. The sleeve, which was merely torn, has now developed a new, entirely unplanned opening. And somehow, in your frantic attempts to correct it, you've managed to attach it firmly to your own robe. You are now literally sewn into the fabric of your mistakes. The tailor, a woman with a calm, patient demeanor and incredibly nimble fingers, watches this unfold with the calm expression of someone who once watched a chicken try to play a flute. Her eyes hold a faint flicker of amusement, but her face remains impassive. She says nothing, simply observing your struggle with quiet resignation. She gently, almost imperceptibly, takes the needle from your trembling fingers. With a few swift, practiced movements, she undoes the damage you've wrought, carefully detaching the sleeve from your robe and mending the original tear with a precision that makes your head spin. Then, she hands you a new task, folding fabric. Not sewing, just folding. She places a stack of freshly laundered co-sewed in front of you and demonstrates a simple, precise fold. You manage that successfully. Miraculously, you fold one, then another. Neat, symmetrical squares. You are now the village's designated folder of things that can't be ruined. It is an honor. A small, quiet honor, but an honor nonetheless. You are no tailor, no samurai, no farmer. But you can fold, and in a world of meticulous order, that counts for something. The morning has progressed, and you are invited to visit a local Shinto shrine. The shrine is quiet. Painted red beams, weathered by sun and rain, stand stark against the green of the trees. Stone steps lead up to the main hall. A large bell hangs near the entrance. It's a place of stillness, of reverence, of connection to the spirits. You step carefully. You remember the threshold lesson. You walk through the torii gate, the iconic red archway that marks the entrance to a sacred space. You remember to walk to the side, not through the very center, which is reserved for the gods. You go to the side. Respectfully, you approach the purification basin, temaziya. You know the order now. You take the bamboo ladle. You pour water over your right hand, then your left. You rinse your mouth, discreetly, spitting into the ground, not back into the basin. You pour water over the handle of the ladle to cleanse it before placing it back. No one corrects you. A small, quiet victory. You walk up the stone steps to the main hall. You bow before the altar. You clap twice, sharply, to get the attention of the kami, spirits. You bow again. You offer a silent prayer, perhaps for a comfortable pillow or for the ability to understand basic Japanese. No one corrects you. No one coughs politely. No one gives you a subtle, disapproving glance. You feel something like relief, a profound sense of accomplishment. You have navigated a sacred space without causing a single visible cultural blunder. Then, in a moment of lingering nervousness, you bow one too many times. A final, unnecessary dip of your head. And as you straighten up, your forehead bumps lightly on the edge of the offertory box, a small, wooden receptacle for donations. It's a soft thunk, but no one sees. The few other visitors are lost in their own quiet prayers. You rub your forehead, feeling a faint sting, and quickly move away, a small, private smile playing on your lips. You count that as a win. A minor head injury, perhaps, but a major cultural triumph. You're invited to observe a calligraphy session, not a formal class, but a quiet gathering where a master practices and students observe. It's held in a serene room, filled with the faint scent of ink and paper. The paper is thin, delicate rice paper, almost translucent. The ink is thick, black, and glossy, freshly ground from an ink stick. The brush is both tool and teacher, its fine tip capable of expressing the subtlest nuances. The master writes a single character, slowly, with great intention. Each stroke is deliberate, precise, a dance of pressure and release. The character appears on the paper, a beautiful, stark image of balance and power. You are offered a brush and paper. You try the same. Your hand, accustomed to gripping pens and tapping keyboards, feels clumsy, unsteady. The ink blobs. The lines waver. Your first character looks like it was drawn by a frightened lizard attempting to escape a tar pit. It's a messy, indecipherable scribble. You try again. You focus. You breathe. This time, it looks like an abstract map of regret, a tangled mess of lines that vaguely resembles a broken spiderweb. You sigh, a small, frustrated sound. Still, the master nods. Not because you did well, but because you are quietly struggling, which in this culture is the first sign of future competence. The effort, the patience, the humility in the face of difficulty, these are valued. You feel honored, despite the undeniable evidence of your artistic ineptitude. You also spill ink on your sleeve. Again, a small, dark blotch on your already well-worn coat. You sigh. It seems some things, like your clumsiness, are universal. In feudal Japan, especially for monks, laborers, or anyone working with the sun, a short midday rest is totally normal. It's not a sign of laziness. It's a practical acknowledgement of the sun's heat and the need for sustained energy throughout a long day. You are led to a shaded corner of the house, where the breeze drifts gently through an open shoji screen. A simple mat is laid out for you. A rolled towel serves as a makeshift pillow. The air is warm, but not oppressive, filled with the gentle sounds of the afternoon. You lie down. You do not touch your phone, because you do not have one. You do not scroll through social media. You do not check emails. You do not watch a quick YouTube video. You just listen. There is a bird outside, chirping softly. A gentle breeze rustles the leaves of a nearby tree. A wind chime, hung somewhere unseen, lets out a faint, delicate ting. A temple bell, far away, sounds once a slow, resonant hum. You close your eyes. Your eyelids grow heavy. The constant mental chatter of your modern brain, usually so insistent, begins to quiet. The day's lessons, the constant stream of new information and cultural adjustments, have taken their toll. You drift into the first genuinely restful nap you've had since 2018. It's a profound, unburdened sleep, free from the tyranny of alarms and notifications. After your surprisingly refreshing nap, you feel a renewed sense of purpose. You offer to help in the fields again. This time, you do not fall into the rice. A small victory. You are given a simple task, carrying buckets of water from the stream to the newly planted rice shoots. The buckets are wooden, heavy when full. You carry them slowly, carefully, trying not to spill a drop. Your muscles ache, but it's a different kind of ache than the one from your gym workouts, a deep, honest fatigue born of sustained physical effort. You also help plant small green shoots in rows. The work is repetitive, backbreaking. You bend, push the small plant into the muddy earth, straighten, move to the next. Carefully, each seedling is precious, a tiny promise of future sustenance. It is quiet work. The only sounds are the gentle slosh of water, the soft squelch of mud, the rustle of leaves, and the occasional quiet murmur of the farmers. No loud machinery. No hurried conversations. You notice your hands getting sore. Blisters begin to form. Your back aches with a dull, persistent throb. Your knees complain from the constant bending. Your modern body, accustomed to comfort and convenience, protests every fiber of this manual labor. But you say nothing. Not because you're strong, but because everyone around you is working harder and saying less. They move with a quiet endurance, their faces etched with the wisdom of generations of toil. They don't complain. They simply work. You realize farming is not peaceful because it's serene. It's peaceful because it's constant, slow, rhythmic, and without options. There is no escape from the work, no shortcut, no app to make it easier. It's a direct, unmediated connection to the earth and the cycle of life. You find that oddly comforting. The simplicity of it, the directness, the sheer, undeniable reality of putting your hands in the earth and helping something grow. It's a profound, if physically demanding, lesson in patience and perseverance. In the afternoon, a monk, perhaps the same one who subtly choked on his soup earlier, invites you to sit in the garden and observe nature. That's it. No task. No lesson. Just observation. You sit on a cool, smooth stone bench, in silence, for almost an hour. The garden is meticulously raked, a miniature landscape of rocks, moss, and carefully placed plants. A small pond reflects the sky. You watch birds hop between reeds, their movements quick and precise. One particular bird, a small, plump one with bright eyes, seems particularly bold. You name one bird Steve-san. Steve-san hops onto a lily pad, pecks at the water, and then, with a quick dart, eats a bug. You applaud internally, a silent cheer for Steve-san's efficiency. The monk, seated beside you, closes his eyes. His breathing is slow, even. He is simply present, listening, feeling, being. So do you. You close your eyes, letting the sounds of the garden wash over you. The gentle rustle of leaves, the distant hum of insects, the soft splash of water from the pond. The wind carries the scent of cedar and tea leaves, a calming, earthy aroma. Your eyelids grow heavy. The quiet has seeped into your very being. Time disappears. It's no longer a linear progression of hours and minutes, but a fluid, timeless state of being. You are simply there, existing, observing, and slowly, gently, drifting. You are invited back for another tea ceremony. This time, there's no trepidation, no fear of making a mistake. You approach the low table with a quiet confidence, a sense of familiarity. This time, you recognize every movement. The precise folding of the cloth, a silent dance of fabric. The way the host turns the bowl, presenting its most beautiful side to the guest. The small pause before serving, a moment of anticipation and respect. You take the bowl with both hands, accepting it with a quiet grace. You turn it properly, just as you saw the host do, feeling the smooth ceramic, the warmth of the tea. You sip once, just enough. The matcha is still earthy, slightly bitter, but now you taste the subtle notes, the quiet complexity. You place the cup down with the correct hand, in the correct orientation. You bow. A perfect, unforced bow. The host smiles. A genuine, warm smile. A subtle acknowledgement of your learning, your effort, your quiet understanding. You bow again, a silent expression of gratitude. There is no applause. There is no test. There is only the quiet knowledge that you didn't ruin it. You participated. You understood. You were present. This may be the proudest moment of your day. A small, quiet triumph, but one that feels profoundly significant. You have, for a fleeting moment, truly connected with this ancient ritual. As the afternoon progresses, the villagers gather for a performance of a no play. It's held in a simple, open-air setting, a raised wooden stage beneath a temporary roof. No is a classical Japanese musical drama, characterized by its slow, stylized movements, symbolic masks, chanting, and ancient stories. You sit in the back, cross-legged, very still. The actors move like molasses in a dream, their movements deliberate, almost agonizingly slow, each gesture imbued with profound meaning. The masks are eerie, beautiful, and expressive, transforming the actors into gods, demons, or tragic heroes. The music is haunting, sparse, dominated by flutes and drums. The drums sound like thunder inside a pillow, deep and resonant, punctuating the silence. You understand none of it. The language is ancient, the stories complex, the symbolism opaque. But you are mesmerized, not by the plot, which is entirely lost on you, but by how intentionally slow it is, how every gesture matters, how silence is part of the dialogue, the pauses as significant as the words themselves. For once, your brain, used to fast cuts, rapid-fire dialogue, and meme timing, is not bored. It is calmed. The deliberate pace, the hypnotic chanting, the slow, unfolding drama, all conspire to quiet your overstimulated mind. You find yourself simply observing, letting the sounds and images wash over you, without the need to analyze or interpret. It's a profound, unexpected form of meditation. As the sun lowers, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, villagers begin placing lanterns around the square. It's a communal act, a quiet preparation for the night. You help carry one, carefully, with both hands, feeling the delicate paper and bamboo frame. It's light, fragile, yet carries the promise of warmth and light. Someone hands you a match, a small wooden stick. You light the wick. You don't drop it. It doesn't go out. The small flame flickers, then steadies, casting a soft, warm glow. The lantern glows softly, a warm, orange breath in the dusk. You place it by the edge of the road, beside a small stone statue. You step back, admiring its gentle light. You don't smile too much. You don't speak. You just let the light be the moment. You are simply a participant, a quiet contributor to the beauty of the evening. And for once, that feels like enough. More than enough. It feels profoundly satisfying. By now, you've eaten rice 5 times. It's no longer a meal, it's a spiritual condition. It's the constant, unwavering foundation of your existence in feudal Japan. But this time, you know the moves. You are part of the choreography. You wait to be seated. You accept the food with a polite, practiced bow. You pick up your chopsticks with 2 fingers and a sense of purpose, a quiet confidence. You even remember not to stick them upright in the bowl, a gesture that resembles an offering to the dead, a profound taboo. You chew thoughtfully, slowly, silently. You don't rush to speak. You don't feel the need to fill the silence. Because here, silence isn't awkward. It's appreciation made visible. It's a space for reflection, for gratitude, for simply being present with your food and your companions. You finish your rice. No grains left. You meticulously scrape the bowl clean, a silent testament to your learning. The boy from earlier, who had watched you with such intensity, gives you a subtle nod, a kind of rice-based knighthood, a silent promotion to the highest rank of the Clean Bowl Club. You have truly arrived. After dinner, as the last light fades from the sky, someone hands you a small paper-wrapped parcel. It's light, delicate, and feels precious. Inside is a furin, a delicate Japanese wind chime, made of glass or metal, with a small paper strip hanging from its clapper. You hold it like an egg made of poetry, its fragility almost overwhelming. You are asked to hang it on a wooden post near the garden, where the evening breeze will catch it. You do so, slowly, carefully. Your hands are steady. You tie the string with a simple, secure knot. As it catches the breeze, it lets out a soft, bright ting. A pure, clear, ethereal sound that seems to shimmer in the air. You can feel the sound in your chest, a gentle vibration that resonates with the quiet beauty of the moment. No one says anything, but a few people glance toward the chime, their faces softening, a small, collective sigh of contentment. It is good. You did something right, something beautiful. And now, the wind gets to sing a little song every time it moves, a melody you helped bring into existence. It's a small, profound moment of contribution. As the night deepens, a monk speaks to you softly, through a translator. She tells you about the concept of ma. It means negative space, the space between things, the pause that gives shape to sound, the silence that makes words meaningful, the empty space that is not empty at all, but full of potential, of unspoken meaning, of quiet energy. It's the gap in time, the interval in music, the void in art that defines the form. You nod, slowly, deliberately, because you've started to feel it. The ma, the time between meals, the quiet between steps, the breath between thoughts, the silence between the temple bells, the space between the words spoken in polite conversation. In your old life, you'd fill every second with noise, with activity, with distraction. You dread the empty spaces, the moments of quiet. Here, the seconds fill you. The quiet spaces are not voids to be avoided, but invitations to presence. The ma has become a comfort, a profound revelation. There's a fire pit in the village square. Small, contained, bright, its flames dancing in the cool night air. You sit with others, farmers, elders, children, monks. They are gathered around the fire, a silent circle of shared warmth. No one scrolls. No one shouts. No one multitasks. They just watch the flames, their faces illuminated by the flickering light. You watch, too. The fire crackles like 1,000 tiny thoughts burning off, each spark a release of anxiety, of worry, of the incessant chatter of the mind. The warmth spreads through you, a comforting embrace in the cool night. A woman sings a lullaby. Her voice is old, soft, and out of tune in the most comforting way, a gentle, melodic hum that speaks of generations of quiet comfort. You feel warmth, not just from the fire, but from being included. You haven't spoken more than 10 words all day, and yet, you feel understood. You are part of this quiet, ancient moment, a silent member of the human family gathered around the fire. It's a profound sense of belonging, unburdened by words or expectations. You return to your sleeping space. The house is dark now, save for the faint glow of distant lanterns. You step over the threshold without touching it, a detail you missed yesterday, a small victory in your ongoing cultural education. You fold your robe properly, remembering the tailor's lesson, placing it neatly beside your futon. You adjust your mat, making sure it's perfectly aligned. You place your hands on your lap and just sit for a minute. In the dark, in the quiet. There's no sound but the soft breath of night, the distant chirping of crickets, the gentle rustle of leaves. You could speak, but what would you say? That you're tired? Yes, profoundly. That you wish you had a real pillow? Still yes. That you miss your phone, but also kind of dread turning it back on. Dreading the onslaught of notifications, the return to the frantic pace of your old life? Yes, that too. You say nothing. You listen instead. To the quiet. To the maw. To the ancient silence that has become your unexpected companion. You lie down. Wooden pillow. Cool mat. Thin blanket. The crickets have returned. They're chirping a steady, rhythmic lullaby. A dog barks once, distantly, a soft, muffled sound that quickly fades. A moth dances near the lantern, its delicate wings fluttering in the soft glow. Your breathing slows. You don't check a clock. You don't wonder what's next. You don't plan for tomorrow. You don't replay the day's mistakes. You just allow yourself to exist in this slice of quiet. You surrender to the discomfort, to the unfamiliarity, to the profound stillness. Maybe you wouldn't thrive in feudal Japan, but for a moment, you might survive it. And in that survival, you might find a deeper, quieter part of yourself. Somewhere between consciousness and dream, as the world outside deepens into the quietest part of the night, a thought arrives. Not a loud, insistent thought, but a soft, gentle whisper like a feather drifting down. Maybe the difficulty isn't the problem. Maybe it's the point. Maybe the discomfort, the rules, the rituals, the wooden pillow of doom, the cold water, the endless bowing, the single grain of rice, is designed to shape you into someone quieter, steadier, more aware. Someone who appreciates the small things. Someone who understands the value of a single grain, a polite silence, a well-placed bow. You let that thought sit beside you like a sleepy companion, a quiet revelation in the deepest part of the night. You are not dreaming, but you are not fully awake either. You are floating in the space between. The maw. No notifications, no mirrors, no pressure to be interesting or productive, no demands on your time or attention, just breath. Slow, even rhythmic, just shadows on paper walls, dancing faintly in the moonlight. Just the feeling of being exactly where you are, in this ancient house, in this quiet village, in this profound stillness. It's a liberation, a release from the constant striving of your old life. Somewhere in the ceiling, from some unseen perch above the wooden beams, a bird feather floats down. It's tiny, white, almost translucent in the faint light. It drifts in absolute silence. Slowly, lazily, spinning gently as it descends, catching the faint currents of air. You watch it spin, slowly, lazily, all the way down. It lands on the tatami mat with no sound at all. It means nothing. It causes no plot. It's not a sign, not a message, not a symbol. But for some reason, it's beautiful. Profoundly so. A tiny, perfect moment of natural grace in a world that has taught you to appreciate the quiet, the simple, the the unadorned. And that is enough. More than enough. It is a glorious, silent moment of pure existence. You think back over your 2 days here. The endless stream of first impressions, the constant learning, the quiet humiliations, the small, unexpected triumphs. You ruined the robe. You insulted the rice. You invented 5 new ways to bow incorrectly. You confused breakfast with dessert. You lost a duel to a small, elderly woman with a log. You mistook fermented pickles for candy and cried a small, private moment of sour despair. You waved at a rooster. You offended a merchant with a dust cloud. You sewed your sleeve to your own robe. But you also poured tea correctly, twice. Lit a lantern without burning anything. Folded a sleeve neatly, becoming the designated folder. Didn't step on the sacred part of the threshold today. Mastered the single grain of rice. Understood the concept of ma. Found peace in a communal bath. And that is progress. Profound, quiet, human progress. Somewhere, someone is boiling water for breakfast again. The faint scent of wood smoke drifts through the house. The wind carries the scent of something earthy. Maybe barley. Maybe rice husks. Maybe time itself, a deep, ancient aroma. You open your eyes for a second. The room is still dim, the world still quiet. Then close them again, savoring the last moments of this profound stillness. And whisper, thank you. For the silence. For the rules. For the slowness. Even for the pillow. Then, quietly, gently, with every mistake softened by patience, every discomfort transformed into a lesson, you disappear from feudal Japan. Back to your world. Back to your bed. Back to your 47 open tabs. And now, wherever you are, you can finally rest. You've made it through a day in feudal Japan. And somehow, you're still alive. Sleep well, time traveler.